Okay, everybody, welcome to my tip of the day, wedding photography tip of the day. My name is John Munno. I am the owner and photographer of John Munno Weddings. It is June 5th, 2019. We are in the middle of wedding season. I just had 5 weeks of weddings straight in a row, which was awesome. Great weddings, beautiful people, beautiful weather. And I have another 4 weeks straight to go before I get a little break in July. So it is pretty much feast and famine in the wedding business. And right now it is time to move. So it's just keeping pacing, shooting and editing, shooting and editing. So if you haven't seen Instagram stories of what I had for dinner, please forgive me, apologize, but I've been busy editing your wedding. So I hope you understand. Anyway, I have a little tip of the day that came up because of a client inquiry, little message that came up. So I'm going to share it with you a little bit so that you all can learn from this, because I know a lot of you out there are planning your wedding and you've never done it before. And so there's like, where do you do? How do you do it? Where do you, and how? So the tip of the day is how to prevent wedding planning overwhelm. And here's the little story. I received an inquiry from one of my leads that I work with, advertising. And so it's, pretty common one. Show me your pricing. Okay. They don't say anything else. It's kind of funny. But anyway, that's the world we live in. So anyway, person says, hey, I like your work. Our wedding is in September 4th, 2020. And we would like information on your packages and pricing, flexible wedding date. Okay, so I say, hi, great, thanks for your interest. Here's my packages and pricing. Happy to work with you. And then let me know what you find, what you like, and what we can do. So 3 days later, I think it was 2 days later, I get an inquiry from the same person from a totally different advertising source. Hi, I like your work. I'm interested in your packages and pricing. Our wedding is June. So I went from September to June 19th, 2020, and we TBD, venue TBD. So already it's like, okay, so this person inquired on one side, they inquired on another side. They're just doing this shotgun approach. They're just throwing out, inquiries everywhere and getting like bombarded by photographers and are feeling totally overwhelmed. So I write her and I says, hi, you did wrote to me on one side a couple of days ago. I got another inquiry from you from another side. On the first side it said your wedding was June, now September, now it says it's June. I kind of get a sense you're a little overwhelmed. Is there anything I can do to help you out, this and that? So here's my information again, if you didn't get it on the first round. So then she writes back and says, oh, hi, thank you for getting back to me 2 times. And she says, yes, I'm just going absolutely crazy with the research. That's what she writes back. We don't have a date yet. We'll be in touch when we do. Okay. So this is common for people. These days, many couples are planning their own wedding. And trying to save money and trying to do DIY. So DIY weddings are really big. Couples are trying to do this. So wedding and planning a wedding is a huge undertaking. It's huge, okay? And people are planning a wedding, trying to plan a wedding in the midst of going to school, okay? In the midst of working 2 jobs, sometimes in the midst of working 2 jobs and going to school, in the midst of moving and buying a house, in the midst of taking kids to school and daycare and all that other stuff. So this is the boat that many people are in, and of course they're overwhelmed. Anyone's head would explode, with all this happening. So my heart goes out to all the couples in their planning process, and that's why I wrote and put together this little video to help you out. So tip of the day, number 1 is plan and lock in and choose your wedding venue first. Okay, that's tip of the day, number 1. Oh, okay, and the phone wants to ring now. So, tip of the day, choose your wedding venue first. I just turned the phone off. Because it doesn't make sense to do all this work to try to find a photographer and put all these leads out and get all these leads in and look through them all, and then you haven't found your venue yet, and then 2 months later you finally get your venue, and then they don't have the date you want, so then you have to change the date, and then you go back to the photographer and say, we're ready, and guess what? They're booked. Number one, photographers book up 1 to 2 months, 2 years in advance. 1 to 2 years in advance. That's far away. See, people don't get that. They're like, oh, my wedding's a year away. I have plenty of time. No, you don't. I mean, venues easily book up 2 years in advance, 1 to 2 years in advance. And good photographers as well. I mean, I have my whole 2019 season is already booked up pretty much fully. I have openings. I mean, I'm already booking heavily into 2020 already. So with this particular client contacting me in 2020 for a wedding in next year, and you don't have a venue yet, get on it, because it creates more stress down the road when you can't get into anything and all the photographers you want are booked and the venue you like is all booked up and you can't get the day you want. So 2 tips of the day. Number 1 is get on this early. Tip number 1. Okay, then tip number 2, choose your venue first. Okay. Now, once you get your venue locked in, chosen, and your date set, then you get your photographer. Photographer is the next step in line. So, kind of building upon tip number 1, which is choose your venue first. The tip that also goes along with that is do one thing at a time. Don't be trying to find a venue and then trying to find a photographer and do it all at the same time. You will go crazy. So do one thing at a time. Take a breath. Focus on that. Focus. I'm all big about focus. Okay, that's why I'm a photographer. Focus is important. Do one step at a time, and then you should have much less stress and not feel so overwhelmed. So I hope that tip helped you out. And on my website, just so you know, FYI, I have a whole wedding planning site on there, part of my website dedicated to couples like you to help you plan your venue. I have a 10-step approach to choosing your wedding venue. I have a timeline for when to go about the process of doing these things. Lots of videos and blogs and articles all helping you in the planning process. Also, give me a call. I've shot at most of the venues in Connecticut. I can help you out. There's no obligation. I'm just happy to help. I love working with couples, and I do take a very active part of helping them in their planning process. So, happy wedding planning. Enjoy the summer. I'm going to get back to editing, so I'll keep on track so that everybody gets their photos on time. Have a great day. Thanks again.